Gotcha. Honestly, both are used and they kind of mean the same thing. It's really just about the transliteration. So Hellas and Hellas are basically just two ways of spelling the same name for Greece.
Oh my God, this Gitas guy.
This is hell.
We cannot start a podcast for 15 minutes already just because he's chatting with ChatGPT to
know how to properly say the Greece in
Hellas.
Greek. Hellas.
I'm confident it's Hellas.
If it's Hellas, what are you going to do?
Then it's a hell for Greece opponents in the Eurobasket. But yeah, it's Hellas, and we finally had a chance to see Giannis playing for Hellas before the Eurobasket. He appeared only in 2 games out of 7 preparation games of Greek national team. They won against Latvia by 18 points. Giannis had 25 in 15 minutes, 10 rebounds as well, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And in the last game on Sunday against France, Greece lost by 15, and Giannis had 20 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and he played almost 22 minutes of action. What were your first reactions?
I'd say very different games, 2 different games because 2 different opponents were against Giannis. First you had Latvia, who's a more like middle of the pack team in the context of Eurobasket, and also they're very different in how they play, what kind of players they have. So you had a team that's not as athletic, it's more like offensive team, shooting a lot of threes with Porzingis at the focal point. And then with France, you had a completely different team with a lot of athleticism, a lot of quickness, pace, physicality, better defense, obviously, and I think that's the difference between the 2 teams, which reflected on how the games went for Giannis. Because against Latvia, I thought he was doing whatever he wanted. Nobody could really stop him on the ball, and I feel like that's what you need to do with Giannis. You cannot stop Giannis. You can contain Giannis somehow, but you can't do it if you don't have a guy who can stand in front of him before he takes those first 2 steps and stops those first 2 steps. If you got Kristaps Porzingis, who's sagging off a little bit, it's too late.
Hey,
it's too late.
He was disrespecting Giannis' jump shot, actually.
And those mid-range shots.
Even the mid-range shot. I mean, it's normal that people sag off of Giannis' three-pointer, even on FIBA courts, which is a shorter three-pointer. But Porzingis was basically standing 2 meters from the rim and was like, I'm not playing any kind of defense against you, and you just shoot your shots. And that was, I don't know, that's an interesting approach, I would say.
Kudos to those
Giannis.
brave Latvians who thought that they can stop Giannis playing one-on-one defense. That's the first thing where I wanted to interrupt you. There's no man in the Eurobasket who can stop Giannis one-on-one. That's why France played double team, even triple team in some situations, and it was a completely different defensive approach. And I think it's maybe natural, and it's not Luka Banki to be blamed for, because it's a friendly game. You don't need to play all your cards in the friendly game, while France did more homework, let's say, trying to contain Giannis. And it was crazy to see Giannis facing 3 guys on the perimeter if he tried to play with the ball in his hands from the start. If he beats Yabusele on the elbow, he meets Okobo randomly, who contests him, and when he tries to put a layup, there's Jaite blocking the shot. I mean, it was crazy defensive effort by France, but at the same time, it mirrors the style they're gonna play. Latvia is not going to play any defense, while France is doing a hell of a job. They allowed in the preparation less than 72 points, and Greece actually was the most successful, scoring 77, because nobody else could score even that against France. So,
but to be fair, Gershon Yabusele is probably the best man you could have on Giannis, because he's strong enough to not be pushed out of the way, bulldozed out of the way, and is quick enough as well to stay in front of Giannis. Of course, he's not going to stop him by himself, but like you said, Mam Jaite in the paint lurking around, or anyone else helping, that's already...
that's Giannis' wall.
Yeah,
that's Giannis' wall.
It's walling up, it's shrinking the floor, essentially, and then Giannis was forced to either get rid of the ball, which I think is already a victory if you're playing against Greece. If you get the ball out of Giannis' hands, it's already a victory, because then it's either an open shot that someone else will have to make. And to be fair, this year with Slukas, with Dorsey, with Papa Nicolau, with even Mitoglu, you have those shooters, but you already are not suffering Giannis in the paint. And second of all, he actually got some turnovers from those situations where he got into the paint and he maybe didn't even expect to meet 2-3 guys in there. So I thought France did a good job containing Giannis. But to be fair, I saw some headlines, France stopped or contained Giannis and that's why they won the game. It wasn't about that. It's not about that with Greece and why they lost the game. It's about the second unit. I think as soon as Giannis is out of the court, the Greek team changes because the depth in that team is quite shallow.
Yeah, but they actually there was this turnaround moment in the middle of the game where Greece was up by 9, with 1 minute to play in the second quarter, and they were down by 10 to finish the third quarter, and Giannis was on the court the majority of the time. So I know what you're saying. It's all about the second unit, but it's all about utilizing Giannis in a position where he's a double teamed or triple teamed like he was, how the ball is moving, how the others are shooting. Because, for instance, we emphasize shooting a lot, but shooting was not a major problem for Greece in those 2 games. They were shooting 54% from free against Latvia and 42% against France. These are solid numbers, but the ball was not moving well. They were not ready, which is natural. It's still preparation. They only had a second game with Giannis, and it's the first time they face some really, really tough test offensively with Giannis facing those double or triple teams.
I just think the game against France was a much better preparation game, way more useful preparation game than the one against Latvia. You're not going to see, maybe the easier teams, let's say the non-favorites of the championship in the group that Greece will face, will offer you this easy, relaxed defense that you're not going to have a problem with. But if Greece wants to go far in this tournament, this France game was actually way more useful than the Latvia one, because this is the type of defense everybody is going to play in the championship, except maybe for those couple of teams that, Greece are generally going to beat. So...
But Augustas, how many teams actually have that size, that defensive potential, defensive ability, one-on-one team defense, chemistry? I mean, because France is an elite team. So I was also like, oh my God, this game is alarming for Greece. But at the same time, there are not many teams like France in the tournament.
I agree that their size, their athleticism is number one in the Eurobasket. That's for sure. But I just meant the principles of the defense, because the stunts from both sides, the Giannis wall, if you are a smart team and I expect, like, I'm talking about playoffs, because definitely Greece are going to make the playoffs and they want to win medals in the playoffs. When you plan for the opponent and, you plan more carefully, because in the group, maybe you will have just one day to prepare or one practice. For playoffs, you will have teams that will do this kind of defense that France played, and this is the type of play style you expect from Greece. So I know it was just the second game for Giannis, so I saw some turnovers that, you could have avoided if he was there, playing all the preparation games. So it's natural. But I just thought that this France game was way more useful than the Latvia one.
Sure.
But that's where I want to see more of a evolution of Giannis that we've seen in this regular season in the NBA, where he started taking more mid-range shots instead of three-pointers. He basically eliminated his three-point game from the equation. He's taken less than one, I think, in this past season. And you can see in these friendly games, I think he only took one three-pointer.
Yeah.
And those mid-range shots he is banking these in. He's making those as a pull-up if you're giving him enough space, and even as a fadeaway. And to be fair, there's not much you can do if Giannis is fading away with his almost 7-foot height and athleticism and quite a high release point. So I think this might need to be the weapon to use in a situation where you see those walling up teams against you, and you just gotta go into more of a ISO play from the post instead of trying to force it through penetration into the paint.
There was Donatas, you wanted to...
Free throw shooting, also another emphasis that we could put, since you mentioned evolution, and this is going to be important. He's going to get fouled a lot. He's going to be sent on the free throw line a lot. And okay, it's only 2 games, but the numbers were actually spectacular by Giannis standards, especially coming off the career low 62% shooting from the free throw line in the NBA. He made 12 of 14 against France and 7 of 9 against Latvia. So combined, it's 83% free throw shooting, which is impressive by Giannis standards. defenders, and it's going to be important because it's going to cost few extra points one way or another.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about his pairing with Mitoglu? Do you like this better than last year's, for example, Olympic qualifiers or the Olympics with Papagiannis, where it was a different kind of a front line? Now I feel like it's more versatile. I like how they are both are more mobile and switchable on defense. And you got Giannis more like a 5, or Giannis more like a roaming big, who's protecting the rim. Mitoglu then can go on the perimeter more, and then you got Giannis protecting the rim more. I like this much more than I like Papagiannis, and I feel like also Mitoglu is a much better, more stable shooter than Papagiannis.
But defensively, I mean, France had so many second chance point opportunities.
The size is
10 offensive rebounds. The size is different. Defensively, they're vulnerable. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be an issue. Of course, there are athletic bodies with Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Kostas Antetokounmpo, but defensively, I saw too many gaps in their paint, and you cannot rely on Giannis. He's a great helper to block those shots, but you cannot rely on him because you don't want to put him in a foul trouble. So I don't know. In my eyes, they still lacked physicality, size in some situations, and France again showed these problems that greased my face in the tournament.
And I just have one thing of criticism towards Giannis, and I think this is just bad habits that you learn in the NBA. Boxing out, sometimes Giannis is just looking at the rim, not looking where his opponent is. And a few times I just saw, even in the game against Latvia, some smaller guys boxing him out, getting the rebounds. Of course, Giannis can get most of the rebounds just standing there under the rim because there's no defensive 3 seconds. He's just too tall, too athletic. He'll grab those balls. But generally, those habits, I think they need to go. He needs to remember what the European basketball is about, the fundamentals.
I don't know if he's going to remember. It's just a habit that, if you play 82 games during the season, then every year it just stands there. But yeah, going back to Mitoglu versus Papagiannis conversation is just I just look at what Milwaukee had for the entire Giannis career, basically. The Brook Lopez. Papagiannis is more Brook Lopez type of player than Mitoglu. So you need that rim protection. You need those defensive rebounds. And the best Giannis version defensively is when he's roaming, when he's not defending the pick and rolls. Because if he needs to defend the pick and rolls, and if he needs to create on the other side, it just becomes a one-man show. I mean, not a one-man show, but just one team depends too much on one player on both sides of the court. It's just hard to do. It's just hard to do for 40 minutes, and when you're playing so many games in so little days. So yeah, I'm interested to see how far Greece can go. I think it really depends on how they do in the group. If they do really well in the group, I can see them going. I can see them winning medals even. But their group is not easy. There is Italy, there is Spain, and although Spain, even we underrated in our power ranking, I think they're going to do a great job. And looking at potential matchups, Sergio Scariolo and his defense against Giannis, I'm looking forward to that matchup and see how he approaches this. And it's not going to be easy for Greece because Spain really has a lot of weapons, let's say, defensively, both in personnel and in strategy.